Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Friday morning. It's Stephen Whiteside here from the uptrend.com. In the pre-market this morning, stock index futures are currently trading below fair value. They're trading down around the levels that we saw about this time yesterday morning, but we do not have any major economic numbers coming out on Friday morning. Now, on Fridays, I usually like to look at how things are going so far, and this week we can take a look at how we're doing on the month as well as the week. For the S&P 500, we're down nearly 5% on the month. For the week, we're up nearly 0.5%, and we did trade slightly above last week's high, but could not hold those highs so far. Looking at the NASDAQ 100, we're down 5.78% for the month, and we're down ever so slightly on the week. Again, we are trying to break out above last week's high. We traded above it, but we have not been able to hold those gains so far. For the Russell 2000 for the month, we are down 4.37%. And if we hold these levels, we'll be on a monthly sell signal, joining the weekly sell signal that started about 3 months, over 3 months ago. We're up 1.2% on the week, and that has a lot to do with some commodity stocks, but certainly there's no major trend starting here. Looking at the TSX for the month, we're down just 1.31%. For the week, we're actually up a little over 2% on the week. That has a lot to do with commodity stocks, which are doing very well at the moment. Looking at crude oil, we're down nearly 2% on the month. But if we look at crude oil and go back the last couple of years, you can see we've been in a fairly tight range compared to what happened back in 2019, 2020 through 2022, where there was lots of volatility and very strong trends. Crude oil has settled into a range. For the week, we're up 1.73% for the week, and that's been enough to put a bid into the energy sector this week. Looking at gold, we're up nearly 7% for the month, which turns out to be $195.30. For the week, we're up 1.42% or another $42.70, and currently holding slightly above $3,000. Now, looking at the VIX, so options traders are currently bullish on the market as the VIX for the S&P 500, the Nasdaq, and the Russell 2000 are all trending lower right now. That should put a bid into the stock market. Now, here's a famous quote from Sir John Templeton. This time it's different. Are the four most dangerous words in investing? Well, I'm actually going to tell you why it's different this time. Now, here we are. We're oversold. We're down at the bottom of the panic zone. A pressure zone has formed. What's different is during the bull market, investors were willing to buy the dips, and we were seeing a series of higher lows and higher highs. That has changed now. We've broken down below lots of areas of potential support. We're making lower lows right now, so that changes things dramatically. We have to lessen our expectations of any bounce. Now, right now, the 200-day moving average is acting as resistance. If we can take that out, then a move up to the moving averages, which are currently converging and pointing down. So the 50 and the 100-day are pointing down at the moment. Of course, we always can look back at previous lows, which are now going to act as potential resistance going forward. So right now, the moving averages are just below the 5,900 level on the S&P 500. You can see that 5703 is acting as resistance. You look one line, two lines up, those were previous lows in the market. And so what was support previously is going to act as resistance on the way back up. Now, another thing that makes things different this time is last year, countries were not telling their citizens to not visit the U.S. So several countries have come out and said, if you can, don't visit the U.S. That's going to put downward pressure on anything in the travel business. So I would expect companies such as United Airlines, Marriott, and the cruise lines to start lowering expectations for investors going forward. So even though we can get buy signals here, we should not expect any of these stocks to run it back up to previous highs anytime soon. Now, talking about lowering expectations, we've got two stocks out this morning that are currently doing that. FedEx is down and Nike is down in the pre-market. Both stocks already on sell signals, so no change for either of those two stocks. Now, yesterday we did not get a lot of volatility. It was a fairly quiet day compared to some of the recent days we've had. We had a small pullback in the TSX 60, a small pullback in the TSX composite, the Vanguard Canada ETF, which has run up to resistance and stuck here at 51.56. We closed at 51.58 yesterday. You can see where our next target is at 52.34 for this particular ETF, and we can certainly get there if crude oil and gold continue to move higher. Looking at the Dow, we're still on a sell signal here. No change there. No change for the S&P 500. We've got the equal weight having an inside day yesterday. The NASDAQ 100 had an inside down Thursday, as did the equal weighted NASDAQ, and the next generation NASDAQ also having an inside day, so no change there. I talked about the fact that, for example, the Russell 2000 generated a buy signal on Wednesday, very soft buy signal. I said I wouldn't take it. I would wait for the next close above the upper channel line. That's also true for the micro caps and small caps. No change in trend for any of those. Then looking at the semiconductors, they're still on a buy signal here, but pulling back into the channel on Thursday. Let's finish off this morning's presentation, taking a look at those magnificent 9 stocks, and no trend changes from Thursday's trading action. The ETF still struggling here. No change for Apple on both sides of the border. No change for Amazon on both sides of the border. There seems to be some interest in Broadcom. It's been trading in the channel for the past couple of days, so a close on Friday above $196.82 would give us a buy signal on Friday. No joy for Alphabet on both sides of the border. No joy for Meta. And then we've got Microsoft, and there's been some interest in Microsoft this week. So a close above $390.82 on Friday would give us a buy signal. And in Toronto, that would be $28.37. No change in trend for NVIDIA. Close below $114.31 on Friday, or $26.50 in Toronto would give us a sell signal. Shopify still on a buy signal on both sides of the border. No change for Tesla. On Friday, we're looking for a close above $252.24 or $22.74 in Toronto. Now, Tesla is a very broken stock. If you look at Shopify, look at the daily panic zone chart. This is a normal chart. We've got a nice move down to the bottom of the panic zones. The pressure zone has formed. This is the time and place you look for buy signals, which has happened. Again, our expectations are lower than before, but this is the opportunity time. Whereas with Tesla has an elongated pressure zone across the bottom of the screen. We've had several opportunities to try to rally the stock, and each time that it actually failed. Now, we're extremely oversold right now. We're trying to hold the lows from back in October of last year, and there is a tremendous amount of shorting in this stock. So it would not be surprising to see a short covering rally on some unexpected news. But again, we have lots of overhead resistance that'll end that rally fairly quickly. So, if we do get a short covering rally here, if you're short the stock, you're going to have to cover your short position. I wouldn't get enthusiastic about jumping into Tesla, even with a new daily buy signal. Okay, folks, that's all for this morning's presentation. So far, the futures are fairly quiet. They're slightly below fair value, but there's not a lot of momentum in the pre-market on Friday morning. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. If you're a member, next time you'll hear my voice is on Sunday.
Thanks for tuning in until the very end of today's stock market timing educational video. If you found the content valuable, don't forget to express your support by hitting the like button, leave a comment, sharing with your friends, and subscribing to our channel for more insightful updates. Remember, in the world of stocks, timing is crucial, and following the trend can be your greatest ally. If you would like more information on how we can help you better time the stock market, please visit theyuptrend.com.